We'll show you how gentle this thing is. Guys who want to get into EDFs but are a little bit spooked by the Delta Wing or the... Yeah. Or the wing root glove of it all. This thing flies like a warbird. Very predictable. Welcome back to Motion RC. This is your pilot, Ryan. We are gonna take advantage of the opportunity with the new 262 to film a build. We never had done that before, and so here we go. We're gonna dive right in. I'm gonna lay these parts out, then we'll get a nice scan of these things and let you see them. And it's actually, I remember building the first one. So very easy to put together. It was actually one of my first Freewing jets, I think, at that time. And I was really blown away with how slick and easy it went together. So this build should be really more just showing off how nice the fit and finish is. And the paint scheme is fantastic. And we'll dive right in and take a good look at that. For now, let's go time lapse. Paint scheme looks fantastic and the parts count is extremely low. Screw together assembly, there's absolutely no gluing, and I have a feeling all we have to do is take off the cover over the ESC. These plastic tips are nice right here, and then the ESC cover here is where we're going to access our wires and flap servo leads that run up through the fuselage. Suspension struts. This build will be super easy, and of course, here's our parts bag. Let's dig right in. So first things first, let's get the wings together. We're going to get these spars undone and get the wiring figured out that goes up through the fuselage from the wings. You're going to have you have the motor, an aileron servo, 2 flap servos, and a landing gear. And there's a few Y connectors that come with the kit. And we certainly are going to have to take off the ESC covers to get this job done. And the instructions, there's pictures, but they don't say a whole lot. This is one of the earlier manuals before we were doing much. And the short spar goes in the front, and the long, larger, they're the same dimension, but they go in the back. Now guys who want to transport this plane don't have to glue it together. I like gluing them together, so I'm going to run and get my foam tack and do that. But for now, I want to show you the access to the ESCs, because we're going to have to run this and these up through the fuselage, and this is the 3-way, so that'll be probably for the landing gear. Then you have 3 plastic parts. A small one, a long one, and wires are gonna go through there too. And then the short one is for the tail, the very bottom of the tail. All right, let's go get the foam tack and then we will get this baby together. I like keeping the wing in one piece. It's cool that you don't have to glue this if you want, but I think it's a good idea to glue it. So I am gonna do a little bit of that foam tack. Not a lot, but I am gonna do a little. Make sure nothing's in the way. And you can't put your long plastic joiner in yet, so you're gonna rely on the one in the back to do it. And then again, you got this notch here. Let that tack up a little bit. While that's tacking up, 90 seconds is the recommendation. I'm gonna go ahead and start accessing these ESC covers. I don't want to get the wires really out yet. There's a lot going on in there, but no problem. And while you wait for us to get this one out for the flight review, keep in mind it's got a 12-bladed power system, so it's going to sound a bit different than the old one. But we do have flight review of the old one if you want to see the flight character, how this one performs. I think it's one of my, you know, sometimes they just get a great marriage of weight and power, and this one seems to really feel nice, and I remember it being a ground effect maestro. I really liked it on approach. Okay, and then there's only one way to get this, and honestly, I did this on the last one. I glued this in too, not crazy heavy, but just a tack. All right, not a lot, but just tack it. Okay. Fits very smartly. So now we know we're going to have to get these wires all dealt with. So go ahead and pull the ESC out a little bit, and you've got your other wires laid in here and they're labeled, so that's fantastic. One lead will feed the plane for the battery situation, and that's it right there. We'll go ahead and run this just up through. And there we go. Black to black, red to red. Same thing over here. We'll do these first. And then we'll go for throttle. So we need a Y for the throttle channel. So let's go ahead and do it. Noting polarity. Nice and secure, and make sure they are. Throttle. Now let's do aileron. Noting polarity, aileron. Here's the other aileron. Peel it back out of the way. The flaps must have a Y between them already. So you're gonna just have to deal with one Y connection on the flaps because the other one is in the wing, buried. You could get to it if you have to. These nacelles do unscrew from the wing, which is nice. Unlike some companies who glue that stuff down, Freewing takes special precautions to make assembly breeze and also service. If you do have to get in there, it's not hard to do. So there's the flaps, that's good. Now we have gear. This is where you use the three-way, the gear, because you know you're gonna have a nose gear as well. And one thing I would say to do as well, as a little tip, is to get your receiver ready. That way before you cover things up, you'll know you got it right. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed through the landing gear. There's a little hole right here in the middle. And 3 of them have to go through. I know this is flaps. Go ahead and run them. Then you can just run everything up via the receiver into the fuselage, and you don't have to discern what's what. You already know because these wires are labeled, but they're not labeled on the Y. So this will be helpful. Wiggle it down. Go ahead and plug it into the receiver. That way there's no mystery when it's time to power up the plane. All you'll have to do is hook up the elevator, rudder, and that other nose gear. Now we're going to go with aileron. And I'm going to get this lead pulled through a little bit. Get everything kind of laying down nice and neat, because we know that soon is the ESCs laying down. So to get all these wires, I'd like to have them underneath the ESCs laying nice. Lay them in there nice and neat, and what's awesome is all you got to do is take this wing joiner plate off to access these wire runs. Awesome. And we know throttle was the last thing, so that's what that one hanging is. We're going to go ahead and get these ESC covers back on too while we've got the belly up opportunity. See how nicely it lays in the inset that's been molded in the foam. So once you're in there, if your screw is straight up and down, you should be right where you need to be into that post. Look how nice that sets. That's better than factory. How about that? And then there's this wing joiner. So slick how it covers it up, right? While we've got this, let's go ahead and flip it over and then get the throttle one in. That's the landing gear, and here's the throttle. Throttle number 3. I guess I'll go Futaba on this one. I can always change it, no sweat. All right, everything is up through the wing. You can neaten this up a little bit. I'm gonna just leave this slack like this till I know what's exactly going on for me. But I do know I'm gonna have one left over in the way of landing gear, because the nose gear obviously has to go somewhere. All right. All right, so now we're getting ready to put the wing onto the fuselage. These bigger screws is what you're going to use to put the wing on the fuselage up through there and into the fuse, but we're going to feed this up first. So to do that, you're going to want to take off this huge battery cover, which is great, and then you can see there's plenty of space back here to get your receiver up in there. Very nice. And then you've got some leads here as well. It's a small little sequencer for the landing gear door, and we'll go ahead and just get these things all out of the way. There's the rudder, because that's the steering servo and the rudder. Nice. And then here's our elevator lead back here. Very cool. All right. This is nice because all you got to do is get the receiver fed nicely. Up in here. And everything's already connected to it, so you don't have any real fits to worry about. As long as you're looking at, and you know it's there, that 3-way Y, you're gonna be good. And this should fit down nicely with no, oh yeah, look at that. With no, that's gorgeous. With no obstructions. Before I flip it over, I'm just so excited. I'm gonna go ahead and get everything plugged in here. So let's go for the rudder. Noting polarity, going to number 4 on this guy. Elevator. Loving an elevator. Here's elevator. It's kind of short. I don't want to pull too hard because it's liable to be an extension back there. So, elevator number 2. Rock'em sock'em robots. Cool. Now, the 3-way is for the landing gear. That's the retract. Right here. Awesome. Now this is landing gear. So this will be this is the sequence for the door. So what you got to do is, we already put the landing gear into 5. We're going to pull it out, plug it into the sequencer. Even though the other doors, the mains don't need this, the nose gear does, and this saves you a channel and some messing around. So all the landing gear are going to go into this little unit here. Half of it's already done for you, except for the wings that come up together on a Y. And nice. So here we go. Noting polarity. This should all be right at this point. So we're going to get the wings screwed on, and I'm going to drop the gear on this baby. we do have to run a few more wires at the tail end of things. And then, you know, when you're all done, there's actually a lot of room to get the rat's nest out of the way, right? So that will easily do what you got to do with your antenna wire for the receiver, obviously. But you can clean this up fairly easily. There's a lot of room back there. And for now, down and dirty on film, I've got some more cleaning up to do, but you can see there's a lot of room for your battery right there. Okay, cool. I'm gonna get this thing flipped over and screwed together. Awesome. All right, carefully flip it over now. And simply screw it together. Uh-oh. Like I said, it's the big screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's access if you have to deal with one of the servos in the back. That'll get you to adjusting, I believe it's a collar there. So if you have to, you can adjust the linkage for the elevator. And I believe you have to, whether you want to or not. So let's take a look at that real quick. Right here is an access panel. For either elevator or rudder. We don't know yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this up because I have a feeling I'm gonna need to. It goes quite a ways back in there. So chances are it's tight just to keep the rod out of the way for transport. All right. All right, here we go. Let's get our horizontal stabilizer ready. All right, so here we go. Not time for that yet, but it is time for the rudder. So go ahead, make sure your polarity is correct. And then you get these pushed in really good. I'm kind of glad when it's hard to push them in because I feel very confident about what it takes to stay. So let's see. Here you can see the vertical come in. I already loosened up the servo, so this goes to here. Loosen up your surfaces first. Well, we know we got what we need and we can fix that in a minute, but these are the hard points for the screws that come from underneath. So we'll get that close. Super easy build. Oh yeah. We'll just let that be for now. And while we're at it too, we're gonna go ahead and get the horizontal stab in as well. fits very nicely into position. Here's our post. There's the spar that's already an integral part of the other fuselage half. Make sure these halves line up. They key in together. Nice. Very solid. Nice. We're going to flip this baby over and screw it together. So this is where we source our other plastic piece, which joins these together, which is very neat. I assume the two big screws with the flat like washer are for the horizontal, and then the other ones are for this. You're gonna wish you had a magnet tip screwdriver if you don't. And this gets the front of the vertical stab secured. And goes right in. Nice, first try. Nice and snug. That's awesome. I love how this marries it all together. And there's this guy. I'm in my own way, but you can see the holes are lined up pretty close anyway. That's what you want to see. I'm going on the, I don't think it says, I don't remember the last one saying either, so I'm going on the outside hole of the control horns because that worked for me last time and it limits the throw. The closer you get to the hinge, the more throw you get. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with outside on the rudder. Click it and slide this over. Very good. And then there's a, and make sure your hinges are loose, they're mechanical. I've got junk on it because I use it to clean my foam tack bottle. Put the Z-bend in the servo. There we go. And you know we're gonna have to find neutral later. So I'm not even gonna hook this up because I could be wrong. So we'll go with neutral later. And I am gonna take my chances on the rudder though, because I've already got it belly up. Cool, so I got that sorted. And what's nice is you can actually get in there, through there if you need to. I think even without taking it off, which is nice. Cool. All right, let's get the gear done. It's looking great. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to get the landing gear down. So, look at this beauty. Oh, look at that. Can you see that? How mean is that? 59-inch wingspan, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a battery in here. Admiral 5000. I haven't flown this with the new packs. And you ought to put some kind of non-skid stuff there so it doesn't slide around. And of course you got wires you can clean up. And I remember flying with the old school 5000s. I didn't have them They were about an inch back from the very front bulkhead here, and that's probably what I'm going to do here as well. So check out the CG in the manual, and of course this plane has been around for a while, so there's a huge amount of resource in the way of prior experience from other modelers out there, as well as our forums and things of that nature. So let's go ahead and fire it up. And oh yeah, let's get these things flipped over and show you these landing gear. They're nice, and their suspension as well. And I gotta fiddle with my flaps and stuff. This is on a model that already exists channel, but check this out. A lot of times you gotta cycle it. They've never run yet. Here we go. Look at that. And you've got the suspension all around. So cool. Yes. I'm so excited. So I'm going to return my trims to neutral on this plane and all that good stuff. Oh my word. So nice. The flaps are slaved over from the one servo. I was wrong when I said before there were Ys in the wings. They're not. They're these torsion rods that carry the load over. So I was wrong about that. That's full flaps right now. I'm on a roll dial, but I'll put them on a switch. I don't remember there being any necessity for any kind of mix on this plane. So gear down. Flaps down. We're gonna make flaps not so intense. We don't want full flaps to be crazy. So that's as much as I'm gonna go for now. I went minimal on the throws before and it served me well. So that's what I'm gonna do this time too. I never had that stall or that snappy spin that some people had mentioned. So I'm gonna go with my settings as close as I can remember them for the original one. Guys, what a beaut. Oh my goodness, Pilot Robert, Captain Blosh. I know this is one of your favorite planes, guys. I can't wait to see what you do with yours when you get it. Holy moly. Let's just admire the beauty of this thing while I go fix the tail and get it straightened out. Oh man, look at this beaut. Pilots, that concludes the build of the Freewing Me-262, 59-inch wingspan, twin 70mm, 12-bladed fans, upgraded paint scheme. This thing builds easy. There's no glue at all. Like I glued the wings together. You don't have to, but it's not a bad idea. I'd consider it optional. Keys in so well together. Pilots, what a beautiful flying plane. 59-inch wingspan, Freewing ME-262, available at motionrc.com. Stay tuned for the flight review coming soon. We can't wait to get this baby out to the field and get some pictures of it. We kind of didn't get a chance to do builds and pictures on the first one. We just flew the one we had, but I'm really excited to see what this 12-blade power system does. And guys, the build, you saw it, it's super, super easy. And don't forget, you've got suspension and you've got airflow in here. So it's good to go. I just got a little bit of work. Grafey, honey, what are you doing? Baby boy, you gotta let daddy go.